What's up, everybody? How's it going? Welcome to Geekdom Movies. Today we've got a pretty full lineup of reviews for you guys. All of them were suggestions that were sent in by the audience. So thank you for sending those in. We do read your suggestions, and here we are making a whole show about it. So let's check in with my co-hosts Fahad Shatari and George Bogdan. You guys are in some interesting locations today. Where have you been?
Well, Shannon, I'm really scared of this virus and I don't want to get sick. So, my wife and I, we just decided to buy some plane tickets. They were really cheap right now. We bought a plane ticket for $1 to go to the Bahamas, and our hotel's really cheap because everyone's gone, and our hotel was only $2. So we've only spent $3 to get to this island, and we ran out of food about a few days ago. We're eating a lot of coconuts. As you can see, there's a palm tree behind me. In case I get thirsty or hungry, I can go shake that palm tree and get a coconut. And and Stephanie's out there somewhere, my wife. Yeah, and Stephanie's starting a fire somewhere back there because we want to have a nice fire going tonight.
In case the trees. The island gives us what we need, and no one leaves. Well, that's great. I'm glad to see that you're out there on the beach. So I hope you're staying safe, getting that fresh air and sunshine, sure to kill off the virus.
Yes, I think the air is fresh and the island is full of coconuts, and hopefully nobody else lands here on the plane with the virus on it. But other than that, I'm good.
Yeah, well, I'm glad to see that. Let's check in with George. George, where have you been? Are you you're not on a beach there? Where are you?
No, I really had to go far. I mean, I didn't want to be anywhere close to that. It's too much. I had to go out to space. This is beautiful out here.
I'm a little offended, George. I feel like we should have been invited on this space adventure of yours. I'm sure you had enough space for us on the spaceship.
Oh, I see what you did there.
Yeah, that's true. There's plenty of space.
Have you seen Elon Musk's? Have you seen Elon Musk's Tesla go by?
No,
I went out a little further than that.
Oh, okay. Have you met any nice aliens or a UFO that honked or waved at you? Maybe.
No, not quite that far. I think we did encounter some of the Guardians of the Galaxy, though. That might have happened.
Nice. I'm looking forward to the third movie in that series, the Guardians of the Galaxy 3. All right, guys. So we've got a big review ahead of us, so let's get started. We are going to go over a couple different movies today. You guys suggested Contagion, The Banker, and Prince of Egypt. So one of those relates to the crisis, and the other two are nice little escapes from the crisis. So we've enjoyed some of those movies. We've not enjoyed some of those movies, so we're excited to talk about them. Especially, I'm excited to talk about Prince of Egypt.
We're just kidding. We were playing around with a new toy. We discovered a virtual background, and it was too good of a reason to pass it up. I just wanted to see what it looked like. It was fun. I did crash my computer. I had to restart my entire computer because it takes a lot of CPU, memory, hard disk, power to make your background all different or whatever. But we're back down to earth. I've left my island. George has landed from his spaceship. Shannon is still at her house.
Still on my couch, guys. I'm just chilling on my couch like usual.
Yeah, that was fun. But yeah, Shannon, what do you got for us? What are we going to talk about?
So guys, today we've got a really full-packed show for you. We're going to start it off with movie news, but before we get to that, I wanted to go over what we're going to talk about today, and also give you guys an update on what's going on in our lives with this whole crazy crisis. So the movies that we are going to talk about today are Contagion, The Banker, and Prince of Egypt. Not necessarily in that order, but we are very excited to talk about those movies, and especially for me, Prince of Egypt, I'm super excited. So, but first, I wanted to throw it back to you guys and see how your lives have been during this whole crisis, during the quarantine. My life has not changed all that much because I pretty much live in my house anyway, working from home anyway. So it hasn't been too crazy. I've actually been doing a lot more work because my boss keeps opening up new companies to respond to the crisis because we're in medical. So that's been pretty nice. And then my basement flooded over the weekend, which you guys did not know.
I
So my basement,
What? What do you
yeah. So
mean?
if you guys didn't know, I just bought a new house about 3 months ago, and I'm doing a lot of rehab and remodeling on it. And I went down this weekend to get something out of the basement, and there was about 4 inches of water covering the floor. So all of my cabinets, power tools, extension cords, nails, buckets, tools, stove, dishwasher, everything was 4 inches of water. We were able to save a lot of it, spray it down with a mold killer and a stain remover. So luckily we were able to save quite a bit of it. And any of the new construction that we've already done, because this is like a full living space with a kitchen and everything, the new construction was already waterproof wood. So that's been really great. And then the insurance company for my home actually paid for a good amount of it. So that's an update on my life. How about you guys? Fahad?
Well, for me, it's been a little bit of a crazy journey because I had a little bit of a scare. I had a sore throat and like itchy nose, and I just was not feeling good, and I was really worried that I got sick. And then what actually ended up
Yeah.
happening was uh, it was just allergies.
Yeah.
Like it's that time of the season, but it's just really scary because I know that they mentioned young people have more of a chance of surviving, but young people have also been dying from this virus and needing ventilations and things like that. So I was just really hoping that I wasn't sick, and thankfully, like the last day or two, I'm like probably in the last 24 hours, I feel completely fine. I do feel like when I open the window or get some fresh air, the itchiness in the throat comes back, and so I know that I'm not, I don't have the virus. Thank God, because I just, yeah, I don't want to be near it. I haven't even left this apartment in 7 days. We're gonna do grocery shopping this week, and what we're actually doing is doing the pickup. So they just bring groceries to your car. If you guys don't know about this, and you're
Oh,
also worried
nice.
about the
Yeah.
virus, if you're worried about getting the virus and you're worried about getting you don't want to be out in public, and we're up to 8,000 cases here in Metro Detroit alone, and it's getting to that point where like I'm afraid to even walk out the door. So what we're gonna
Right.
do is just try to find like ways to shop that doesn't require us to basically touch anything, do anything like that, and just keep it very like very clean. And we're gonna spray our grocery bags and the everything. We're gonna disinfect before bringing it into the apartment. I'm gonna try to wear like a band-aid or some like a like something over my face. Make sure I have soap in the car. I couldn't find any antibacterial because they're running out. But I have soap in the car that I can just keep washing my hands in the car with Chipotle napkins that I brought in like a couple of weeks ago. Like brought like just took a lot of napkins in the car. So just ideas on what to do and how to keep safe when you're out in a boot. So yeah, that's my life. Sorry to hear about
You're
your.
going into the unknown. Yeah, so Fahad, I saw that your video of singing Into the Unknown, which was just a little side video you did, was trending on YouTube.
Yeah, it's kind of crazy. Well, it's like a 2-minute video that I put up, and then suddenly I got an email from YouTube saying people are watching your video. And I think a lot of people are just kind of like singing these days. Like they're just singing happy songs or fun songs. I got I got something else that I want to talk about. There's this guy who does the metal cover for all the Prince of Egypt songs that I want to share with you guys. It's just so cool.
Oh, that's awesome.
Um,
We'll get to that in the Prince of Egypt review.
Oh yeah, absolutely. And so it's just been a lot of fun. Yeah, I don't know, like things to look forward to. Yeah, if you haven't checked it out, you can go to our Geekdom Movies YouTube page where there'll be a link. Or if you're watching this, you're probably on YouTube because this is going to be a YouTube video. And you can actually watch this video of me singing, like really bad singing. I'm not a good singer. I apologize to your ears in case you're listening to the song or anything like that. Yeah, it's just something fun. I don't, if you guys want to sing or do something fun, send us links to you guys singing or doing something
Absolutely.
fun at home. Yeah. Okay. So I'm just gonna.
George, how have you been, man? I know you just
Oh,
moved.
yep.
You moved right in the middle of this crisis.
Yeah, well, thankfully a little bit beforehand, so I wasn't quite as concerned as some of the other people might have been. But thankfully, nothing much has changed all that much. It's been pretty close to the same. I'm pretty much a nocturnal person now, so it's
Yeah, you've been working nights, right?
yep, yep. So yeah, everything's stayed pretty similar to what it was. It's just less social interaction.
That's great. Yeah. Well, I'm glad that you're safe, and I'm glad that we are able to do these reviews from home. That's really been a huge blessing during all of this craziness that we are all so connected, even though we can't leave our houses. Even just 10 years ago, there's no way that we all would have been able to stay disconnected. So this is a huge, huge plus during this time. Okay, well, you guys have some really interesting movie news that as soon as you guys told me, I started texting my brother and my sister, like, this is so cool, you got to check this out. So, George, why don't you tell us about this? And Fahad, go ahead and pull that up on your screen there, that article that you found about what Netflix is doing in Germany.
All right, so
Oh, sorry. Go ahead, George.
no, you go ahead.
Oh, okay. Shannon, can you mute yourself because it keeps going back and forth between us? Yeah. So what we'll do is, we're still getting used to Zoom, guys. I know that if one of the mics is on, it just cuts the other person off. So what I'm going to try to do is, if one person is talking, the other two stay quiet, and then if vice versa for each and every one of us. George sent me a really cool little thing that is happening right now across America that actually had to do with movie news, which I'll share that in a second. I'll share the first news first, and then I'll throw it over to George so he can share more info on that one. So I'm going to go to screen share. Hopefully this works. Please, God, let this work. Okay, there we go. Oh, sweet. It is working. Can you guys see the article?
Yep.
Okay. So the first article we got is Wonder Woman 1984. As we know, because of the virus, a lot of things have been pushed, and some of them don't have dates. But this is probably my biggest movie this year that I'm looking forward to. Wonder Woman 2 just looks amazeballs. This was the movie I wanted to see this over Mulan. I wanted to see this over Black Widow. I wanted to see this over Pixar movies. This was my #1 movie this year. And I didn't want to see this in 2021. Not that I'm not looking forward to Black Widow, Mulan, and the other movies. I'm just saying, this was my #1 movie that I wanted to see, because I thought Wonder Woman 1 was flat out amazing. That movie couldn't have been any better than what that movie was. And I honestly think I put Wonder Woman, the first one, in my top 5 greatest comic book movies ever. So watching the trailer for Wonder Woman 1984 just got me even more hyped, because the writers and director of the first one all are coming back, which was just so exciting to watch. And they have now announced that it is being pushed until August, and not next year, just a couple of months more. So it was supposed to come out in June, and they're just decided to push it to August, which is great. And this is what they had to say. Let's see if I can get the part where we were talking about it. Hold on. Oh yeah, so Toby Emmerich of Warner Brothers Pictures, right here. I can't scroll this. Why not? Okay, whatever. Well, if you can see the mouse, that's what it says. Toby Emmerich, Warner Brothers Pictures Group Chairman, said in a statement, "We hope the world will be safer and healthier place by then." That means that they're hoping by the time August is, this whole coronavirus scare will be completely done with, and they can release this August 14th. And yeah, I'm all for that. If we can get a handle on this virus, if we can quarantine it in the next few weeks to a month, which is what some people are predicting, by the time May hits, we should be all good. And we'll have it on lockdown across the world to make sure, it's not spreading as much as it is right now. Yeah, like I would love to go to the movie theaters in August and see this in IMAX, Dolby Vision, or whatever format they release it in. Yeah, I'm just gonna throw it over to Shannon and George. What do you guys think of this news?
Well, I would have to say that I think that's rather interesting there that they actually set a date for it. Being that if you look at the other two movies that they're talking about in that article, they actually postpone them indefinitely. So that honestly, I was hoping to see Scoob. I mean, I was really hoping to see Scoob. So that for me is kind of a big hit. I'm kind of wondering when they're.
George, your voice cut out. We can't hear you. Shannon, did you press something?
Let's see. Is it working now?
Yeah, what happened?
Okay, I think my cord might have gotten pulled by someone. Anyways, yeah. So where did it cut out at exactly?
Sorry, I had to unmute myself to talk. I keep forgetting. You were talking about Scoob.
Yeah. So I'm a little concerned about like when Scoob might be coming.
Your mic, we can't hear you again. What happened? Hello, George.
Yeah,
He's working on it.
It got pulled out all the way this time. Yeah. So
You better kick the dog.
I will in just a second. So oh, sorry, they're fighting over a toy. Anyways, so yeah, with Scoob, I was really hoping to see it, and it's really it's kind of sad for me because actually one of my favorite songs was in the trailer for this movie, and so I'm like, oh man, I was so hyped when I saw that trailer.
Which song?
It was one by Avicii. I think it's called Without You. But yeah, it's an absolutely awesome song, and when I heard it in the trailer, I got so hyped about this movie, like way more than I should have. And but yeah, I'm kind of wondering now what exactly they're going to wind up doing with these other movies and when they're going to release them afterwards, because obviously Wonder Woman, they want that as the first movie to come out basically after the coronavirus is done with. So I'm kind of curious what's going on with that. Shannon, what are your thoughts?
None of the movies on this list were ones that I'm particularly looking forward to. So to be honest, this is fine with me. Like Wonder Woman, I still haven't even seen the first one. Scooby-Doo's not really my thing. Aquaman's not really my thing. So yeah, I'm not too disappointed about any of these. I was a little disappointed about them pushing back what's the girl, the Spider Avenger, Black Widow. Um that one looked really good only because I really like the two lead actresses, Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh are both phenomenal. So I haven't even seen, I don't think there even a first Black Widow. It's just the sequels, or it's just the prequels, right?
Yeah,
Aquaman, or yeah.
She shows up
Avengers.
Black Widow shows up in Iron Man 2, and then she's in Avengers, then she's in Captain America 2, then she's on the rest of the Avenger movies after that. So yeah, this is Black Widow's first outing as her own movie. So it is still pretty exciting. I just think Wonder Woman looks way better, but I do want to see. I think, Shannon, you really need to see Wonder Woman. You're gonna love the crap out of that movie.
You've been telling me that, and you're always right about what movies I'm gonna like. So I will definitely watch it.
I honestly am shocked that you haven't seen it yet still,
Me
because
too.
it's absolutely
I
amazing. It
just
is amazing.
well, I've kind of been I just haven't had that much interest in the big superhero movies, to be honest. I've watched them for our channel, but other than Spider-Man, who will always hold a place in my heart, and if there's a superhero movie out, I just usually skip that one. So, but Scarlett Johansson and Florence Pugh have proved themselves this year. Those two can do absolutely anything, and I'm gonna watch it from now on. So that one I'm excited for.
Yeah, absolutely. All right, we gotta move on, guys. So if you guys have anything else to share, you can comment below or email us about the news about Black Widow, Wonder Woman, or any of these movies. If you have questions or concerns or something for us to talk about. Our next news article is, well, this is the one George sent me. Can you guys see this article on your video, guys?
Yeah,
Yep.
this is great.
Okay, so there's these students, George actually talked to me about this, who are putting up spoilers on billboards. And I guess it got started in, let me see if I can find it. It started, oh yeah, right here. It got started in Hamburg, Germany. They started to post billboards plastered with spoilers from popular Netflix series to deter people from leaving the house. And I think,
This is the best idea I've ever heard.
yeah, like
This is gonna
honestly,
work better than it's gonna work better than cops pulling people over to give them tickets. This is like positive reinforcement.
yeah, and I just think it's a great idea. George, why don't you take over this one and tell us your thoughts?
All right, so yeah, I have to agree. This is an absolutely awesome idea, and well, I feel bad for everyone watching that though, who is an essential worker, because we're still stuck seeing that. We're gonna have to try to, oh, look away, don't look at the billboard. But yeah, it's definitely a really awesome idea, and yeah, I think that is, Shannon. I agree with you. I think it's a great way of having more so a positive reinforcement of staying indoors.
Yeah, absolutely. I love this as opposed to, putting out an order that everybody has to stay indoors or you're gonna get a ticket or blah blah blah. This is just like it's a funny, fun reminder to stay indoors and an actual real deterrent that will be effective. And it will just get people talking, which is always going to be more effective than just forcing people to do things they don't want to do.
Yeah, I have to agree. I hope this trend continues even here in the States. And, there are parts of America that are really getting hit hard. And, a lot of people, even in our area, like Hazel Park, Oak Park, a lot of areas closer to the city of Detroit where people are not uh, listening to people saying stay inside. And that's why the virus is spreading so fast. So if there's anything we can do to prevent people from going outside, like absolutely. I say we put spoilers for, like, if you don't stop, we're gonna spoil Black Widow and Wonder Woman 2 and Mulan for you. Anything
That
that's even
sounds
bigger.
awesome.
Yeah, that's not a bad idea, honestly. The
Actually,
movie companies could threaten that just for publicity. It would be hilarious.
Yeah,
did you see the hashtag underneath the board panda thing there?
the
So I had seen a video that had this. It was the song. It was the song for that, and it is. Oh my gosh, it's kind of gone viral, and it's absolutely hilarious. It's kind of an older guy singing it, but yeah, it's
It sounds
hilarious.
fun. Did you
I
guys
love
see the coronavirus?
the what you got. We can't hear you.
There is a coronavirus rap. It's like four guys with cans of Lysol and
I
they're out
did.
in a park and they're
I
spraying the
did.
Lysol
I did.
and they're
That was
like,
an awesome one.
move, you got coronavirus. I ain't going outside because of the coronavirus. You gotta move because coronavirus. It's hilarious. You have
Honestly, there's been so many things that I've missed out on social media. Somehow, like the number one thing that I saw that I usually am late to the what's trending party, but I was like the first one to tune into John Krasinski, and like he has this, he's Jim
yes.
from The Office,
I
And,
love him.
and he started a YouTube channel called the Good News Network, which is basically sharing good news across like the world and our country, like what's good that's happening because it's so bad. And then he interviewed Steve Carell, which I thought was just perfect. And honestly, I can't wait for
It was
episode 2 with
beautiful.
Krasinski. Even if you guys haven't seen The Office or nothing about The Office, just go to YouTube and type "good news." It is so good. Like the guy, if you're wondering who John Krasinski is, he plays Jim in The Office, and he was in A Quiet Place. And he was the lead, and he wrote and directed it. So with his wife Emily Blunt, of course. So yeah, check it out. All right, I think you guys have anything else to share before we move on?
Oh, I think we're ready for movie news.
All right. Well, thanks, guys. If you have anything else to say, or do you see anything else that's trending, email us, comment below, talk to us. Find a way. We're always listening and commenting and looking for emails and ideas. So, all right, here I go. I'm gonna stop this one, and we're gonna go back to. Do you guys see my big face? Is it me? Like big?
Oh yeah, it's big.
Oh no, now it's.
All right. Yeah, we see. Well, I can't see your face now, but yeah, it was.
Oh my gosh, I'm trying to. Oh wow, I'm dying. That was the funniest thing I've had that happen live. Oh my gosh. Okay, Sharon, I'm just gonna throw it over to you. Like, what do you got for us on our next topic?
Well, if Fahad can get himself together, we have 3 movies to talk about. And we are going to start with the one that came out the most recently. So this is one that I hadn't heard of. I didn't see any marketing for it, but we all really enjoyed it. It is called The Banker, and it is a very recent movie. It was just released on Apple Play. Yeah, Apple Play.
On Apple TV Plus, or the Apple now has a streaming channel like Netflix and what do you call, like Amazon, Netflix, Hulu,
Disney.
Apple
Disney Plus, Apple. There's Apple Plus, and now there's Disney Plus. If you guys have a brand new iPhone or bought anything in the last like less than a year, like a new iPhone, you can actually get. And I actually did this when I bought my iPhone 10. I actually went and signed up, and they gave me 1 year free subscription to Apple TV Plus without paying the $6.99. So if you bought a new iPhone, a Mac computer, any like brand new like thing from Apple, they will give you 1 year free subscription from now to 2021 with Apple TV News. So they want as many people as they can get to sign up for this. And I don't pay it. I get new TV shows every week from just like Netflix. And me and Stephanie, my wife, we get to watch. Like, we got to see The Banker that just got released 2 days ago. They just released Amazing Stories, which is basically a family version of Black Mirror. It's like less adult, and it's so good, guys. If you get a chance, check out Amazing Stories on Apple TV. You'll really like it.
Okay, very cool. Very cool to know. On that note, let's jump into The Banker here, which is a 2020 movie that was released recently by Apple, and I didn't see any advertising for this one. Do you know, Fahad, if this was in any theater?
So what it sounds like is this movie got delayed, and I don't know like what happened, but it's a mix of the coronavirus and a mix of like just everything that's been happening recently. So they just released it on Apple. And yeah, it was. I did see the advertising, and a lot of people have been talking about it. And I was really excited to see it. And I definitely intrigued my interest about this true story of how these 2 African American men who start the first African American bank in America during the 1960s. This movie is a movie that definitely intrigued my interest. This movie is riveting. The performances are like out of the
Well,
ballpark.
okay, this isn't a spoiler. This is
Oh, sorry. You can go, Shannon. I can mute it.
I was going to jump in and say the reason that this movie is so interesting and riveting is it takes place in, what is it, the 50s or the 60s? Probably the 50s. And they're two African American gentlemen who are not really supposed to be owning a bank, and they're not socially accepted as bank owners. So what they do is they find this young, very young, naive, but very charismatic white guy and they basically use him as a sock puppet. So they teach him what to say, when to say it, who to talk to, how to eat like a white guy, like a rich white person. And they teach him like how to fit into this society, how to play golf. And he is their actor and he pretends to be the face of this company when in reality he knows nothing about banks or they're doing all the work behind the scenes. So from that perspective, this movie was fascinating because this really happened and somebody really did this. And it would be very difficult to have, you know, a lifetime of knowledge. And they show in the movie that this gentleman who is the lead in the film, ever since he was a little kid, he'd be standing outside banks, he'd be listening. Nobody thought anything of him because he was just this little black kid, and he would be scribbling down notes and listening to everything he heard as he shined shoes. So he has this lifetime of knowledge that he's built up, and everyone in the film is telling him, "You can't do this." His dad's telling him, "You can't start a bank. You're a black man. Nobody will take you seriously. Nobody will pay attention," and nothing stops him. So he's working towards this goal his whole life, and then he finds this like 20-year-old kid who doesn't know anything but just happens to have white skin and teaches him everything that he knows and makes him the face of the company just to get by to open up his banks. And then some things go wrong. I won't spoil it, but it's a very, like Fahad said, this is riveting. It's a true story. If you haven't seen this movie, I would definitely recommend it. I'm gonna throw it back to you, Fahad.
Yeah, I definitely agree with everything Shannon just said. I think this is the perfect movie to watch for families. You get history, you get good performances. I don't know the actor's name, but he plays Falcon in a Captain America, and he plays Falcon in the Avengers movies. And he is so good here. He is just his manners and how he talks and what he does. He wears eyeglasses and he makes himself look very smart and very approachable as an African American, so people take him more seriously. There's just so many things happening in this movie that I was just so riveted by. And then Samuel Jackson, who plays Nick Fury in the Avengers movies, he plays his partner who kind of come together, and there's like a lot of information that goes back and forth. Now, the guy who plays Tolkien, one of my favorite movies last year was Tolkien, J.R. Tolkien's true story of when he was in college and he was part of this club. The actor who played Tolkien in that movie plays the white man in this movie who is kind of pretending to be he's pretending to be he's pretending to be them on paper, so other white people take him seriously. And then, but it's really them. It's the two African Americans who are doing all the deals, but they can't be in front of white people because those rich white people won't take them seriously. So what they do is they start this amazing like mortgage loan company in LA, and then they try to bring that in Texas, and that's where a lot of spoilers happen. So I won't go into it. I was shocked by how good this movie was. It's a great history lesson. It's great performances. The actors have great chemistry. Each and every one of them did. It talks about sexism, talks about racism, it talks about privilege, it talks about rich versus poor. There's so much going on in this movie that I was like, oh my gosh. And it didn't feel forced. It didn't feel corny. It didn't feel like it was telling a story that was like too much or just, try to play to the audience. It just felt like, hey, this is what happened. This is how they did it. And this is the story. And it's awesome. So that's my thoughts. 10 out of 10. Maybe we'll do a spoiler review later, but for me, it's like, go see it now. George, what are your thoughts?
I would have to say I watched this movie actually with my mom, and it was really, really, really impressive. And I definitely was not expecting that. I was like, oh, this is just probably some some movie that, oh, whatever, it's like a small time film. No, this movie was great. This was a great movie. And so I I really did think, as you were saying, Fahad, like the way they incorporated all of those issues into it, but it was still, it's like that was really part of the story. That all of that was relevant for that story. And it was just such an amazing, like, I don't know how they did it, but they pulled off something absolutely phenomenal with that film.
Yeah,
Yeah,
and what Fahad was saying before about it not feeling forced, I will be the first one to turn off a movie if I feel like it's preaching to me or like trying to shove a message or a moral down my throat. I can't stand that stuff. This one didn't feel like that at all. This really happened. It's a true story. Took place in the time period where that kind of thing took place often. So they did a good job of just showing what it was without forcing any sort of jamming it down your.
yeah, I absolutely 100% agree with that because I feel like this movie had a message that, like, a lot of these Christian movies, I hate. Like, if you have
Yeah,
been blessed
I.
to not
Uh,
watch these Christian movies that come out that are so propaganda and look at all these pretty white people with pretty white people problems and in the church and they're conservative and they're this and it is so forced and it's so stupid and it is so dumb and it's like I can't stand any of them and I refuse to watch any of them. And there's
I.
Hollywood movies
I.
that are a lot like that that I would say do the same exact thing, and I try to stay far away from those preaching, corny movies like Shannon was saying. And Shannon, I'm gonna throw it over to you, but I just wanted to share my thoughts real quick. And I would say this movie, I was a little bit hesitant that it was gonna, like, in the beginning, in the first 10 minutes, I'm like, oh no, like what's like what is no, like these are real people. Like even the guy who's white was like genuinely a real person who knew his privilege and knew what he was doing, but also had his own ambitions. And he wasn't evil, but he also made decisions that were bad. And same thing with like both Samuel Jackson's character. They were all just these people who were had some kind of bad things, but they were at the end of the day human, and they tried to do their best with the information that was given. And you could tell they were just trying to tell the story without like making two-dimensional characters and things like that.
On the note of the terrible Christian movies, man, I can't stand pretty much any of the Christian movies that are out. And I'm like the target demographic for those. I'm a Christian, I am white, I am like that is their target demographic, and I'm homeschooled, like that's who they're targeting. And I went and saw God's Not Dead with my Bible study, okay? And I walked out of that movie so angry and I hated that movie. And everybody else was like, oh, it was amazing, preaching to the choir. And I was so mad because, like, A, the theology was horrible, and every atheist in the movie is a bad guy, and every Christian is a good guy. And it was just awful and forced, and I hated it. And I couldn't even think about watching the second and the third one. So, sorry, I had to get that out of my brain
I
because you
didn't,
mentioned terrible Christian movies.
I didn't know they made a sequel to that. That's weird. All right, George, do you have any final thoughts for us on the movie?
Just that it was an absolutely amazing movie, perfect to watch.
My recommendation for this movie would be, yes, watch it. Definitely go see it with your family. Watch it with your kids. Watch it with your mom, like George did. Safe for the whole family. It really just focuses on the banking practices. A lot of history, a lot of good morals. Nothing offensive in this movie. So I would give it an 8 out of 10. The only reason it's ranking lower for me is I think it could have done a little bit more artistically. For my personal tastes, I think some of the transitions and some of the music it felt a little bit short for me, but overall, this was a great movie. George, why don't you give us your rating and final thoughts on the bank?
All right, so yeah, my final thoughts on that were it was an absolutely great performance by Samuel Jackson and the Falcon, and it was just downright amazing. I mean, like I would watch this movie with anybody just because it's that good. It's really that good. And yeah, so definitely go see it. I mean, like if I'll stay at home and see it.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah,
as many movies we've gotten straight to streaming, this is the first one I would say. Besides Onward, this would be the first one I'd say I would go to theaters and would have watched it. So yeah, I agree. Hey, George, what's your dog's name? Who's that?
that was Bella actually. That dog there. I have another one called Raj, but thankfully he didn't jump on me yet.
That's really funny. No, he seems adorable. Shannon, what do we have for next? Oh wait, actually, I'm doing the interview this time because I did not see this movie because okay, so I have the reason I didn't see this movie is not because
So
I didn't want to see it. It's because it's a movie that's actually kind of very realistic to what's happening now, and I thought my allergies were actually the virus, so I scared myself to death, and I didn't want to be reminded that I could be sick, so I just skipped it completely. Thankfully, I didn't get the virus; it was just allergies, but you never know. It's scary. But I have the privilege and an honor to do some questions with Shannon and George, who did go see. It's called Contagion. It came out in 2011. Weirdly enough, it's the number two most rented movie for a movie that's like 7, 8 years old, like something like that. It's like Frozen 2. Then it was like second most rented movie, Contagion, and then like number three, Star Wars. It was just weird. Like, so I was just like, what the crap is going on? So tell us, Shannon and George, one of you first. I'll throw it to George this time. George, tell us why people are renting this and what your reason is why people are watching this movie now, and what did you think of it?
Well, I believe people are watching this movie now because they kind of want an outlook as to what it's going to look like in the next, next few days, the next few months, maybe. Hopefully not too long. Hopefully not that long. But this movie it was very good. It was about a epidemic that starts, and it's I would have to say this one's pretty much like a mix between, I don't know, probably I can't even think of what it would be a mix of without spoiling it. But
like Outbreak and a mix of Outbreak and something.
yeah, it was kind of similar to Outbreak, except that this one started like in a different country, and then it spreads all over the world, and it's that one that one is it's a very relevant movie for right now, extremely relevant, and that if people have fears about the coronavirus, as you said, is not a good thing to watch it. But other than that, it's really quite interesting. It seems to be relatively accurate in the way everything is portrayed, and I really appreciated that after having watched what was that other movie? Was that Outbreak, or was that
Outbreak.
yeah, I think that was the one. Yeah, it's this one is much better. It's a lot more realistic, and I really with all the stuff going on, I actually appreciated that with this.
So you actually liked Contagion better than Outbreak?
Yeah, I think I did. I would have to say I did. Yeah.
Well, I
Okay,
never
that's
got
interesting.
well, I never got a chance to see Contagion, but I did get a chance to see Outbreak. Actually, I really liked Outbreak, but it was because it wasn't very realistic. It was just a fun thriller about an outbreak, but it was so over the top that, I wasn't feeling like it was gonna scare me or anything like that. But that's very interesting. Like Contagion seems like a more like a realistic sense of a pandemic that we could be facing very similar to right now, and I find that very fascinating. on that subject matter. Maybe what I'll do is, so weirdly enough, I actually saw this movie in theaters back in 2011 because I'm a huge Steven Soderbergh fan. If you know Steven Soderbergh, he directed the Ocean's 11 movies and a lot of other like really good movies back in the day. And I just really like his style of film taking. He has this weird camera thing that he does that seems very realistic. Like you're not watching a movie, it feels like a documentary, but it's fiction. And I'm guessing, if I remember correctly, Contagion feels like a docudrama, a little bit like that, like where it feels realistic, but it's also a fictional story. So yeah, George, thank you for your thoughts on that. Shannon, take it away. What did you think of Contagion?
Contagion it almost feels like a documentary when you compare it to Outbreak. Personally, I did not enjoy this movie one bit. I couldn't stand it. I wanted it to be done. If I hadn't been watching it for you guys at home, I would never have seen it. So I would have been done within the first 20 minutes. And the reason for that is that this movie is just constant death and dying and disease, and nothing good happens, and it's all horrible and everything's awful. There's also really not a main character in this movie, and that's why I say it feels like a documentary. There's not a driving plot. It's very plot heavy. I mean, it's just them trying to solve this disease, but there is not like any side plots. There's no character development. There's not really much interaction between all the characters. It has a cast of thousands, and it has about 5 or 6 different storylines, and it's trying to follow all of these different storylines. And what they should have done is, and I don't think this will give away any spoilers, but the first scene is with who was the lead actor in this? Do you guys remember?
It's Matt Damon, and they also had a few other big names in there. Like they had the one guy from The Matrix. I keep forgetting his
Oh
name.
yeah,
Yeah.
sorry. This movie had like a lot of people in it that I knew, but they all were just making these cameos. Like it had the guy from Veronica Mars who plays her dad. His name's Keith Mars from Veronica Mars. That guy was in it. I can't even remember the list of all the different actors, but there was like 5 or 6 where I was like, oh, I know him. He's in everything. I know that guy. This has all the guys who are in everything in this one movie, which was weird to see. But anyway, so the movie starts off, it's focused on Matt Damon and his 12-year-old daughter who just lost their stepmom and stepbrother to this disease. The movie should have followed those two the entire time as they're dealing with the outbreak. That's not what it did. It went from them to a doctor to a nurse to the monkeys to whatever, and it jumped around so much that every time you felt like, okay, so this is what I'm supposed to be focusing on, it would jump. This movie was very ADD in its presentation of how it got its story across. That did not work for me at all. I didn't connect with any of these characters other than maybe the Matthew McConaughey's daughter, who's in this for like 3 minutes total screen time, and she was probably the only likable character. And the dad, he's the likable character, but I couldn't stand it. I didn't like this movie at all. It was way too much. It was way too real. It was way too much sadness and death and dying, and it made me realize what a fun, happy movie Outbreak was. Like if Outbreak is like Jurassic Park, where everything is just like a fun thrill ride and adventure, this movie was like Jurassic Park, where the dinosaurs kill everyone, and then there's a funeral, and then the movie ends. And like it was just not fun. There was no joy or hope or anything in this movie, and I'm mad that you guys made me watch it. Not really, but it was not enjoyable. Don't watch this movie, especially in the middle of the pandemic. Do not watch this movie. You will not enjoy it. You won't have a good time. Go watch Frozen 2 again. Frozen 2 was a much superior film. In fact, most movies are superior film to this. This movie was not fun, guys. I did not enjoy it. All right.
Yeah,
I'm out. That was my piece.
This is all I wanted to say was I do remember when I saw this movie in theaters, it had a huge cast. So I just looked it up while you guys were talking. So Matt Damon, Jude Law, Kate Winslet, I did not know Kate Winslet was in this movie. Gwyneth Paltrow, who plays Pepper Potts in Iron Man and a bunch of Avengers movies. Marion Cotillard, I heard, the only scene that I remember was Marion Cotillard is like, okay, we have to go do this in the movie, and they never get back to her. I remember seeing this movie in theaters, and I was kind of pissed off because I thought she was the most interesting character, and I wanted to see like where her story goes, and they did like she just goes away. She's in it for like 4 minutes. I know she's doing something in the movie that she wants to get or do, and they never go back to her. It was just like randomly, like she was there and then she was gone. I remember Matt Damon was just kind of like his wife was Gwyneth Paltrow, if I remember correctly, and like his wife died like suddenly because of the virus, and then he was like, "We have to go out and survive and get food now because it's been like a year or something." And then I guess he gets in a car, but they never really show like this movie doesn't have an ending. I remember that part. I remember it was very like like just crazy. So before I throw it over to you guys, I just wanted to say like, what did you guys think not having an ending? And please raise your hand because this whole back and forth is getting really confusing. So if you want to talk first, just raise your hand and I'll throw it over to you. Who wants to go first? Okay, George, I'm gonna throw it over to you.
Okay, so I do the ending. The closest thing to the ending that I remember was that basically they essentially they come out with the vaccine for it, and people start getting it. They come out with some sort of method for making sure that they won't run out of this vaccine as they're passing it out. But the very, very end was essentially the beginning, really. It shows how it started. And I thought that was actually pretty cool. But at the same time, it's kind of strange, I think because of how slow of a movie this was in certain ways, they had to make you kind of stick with it to actually find out what you originally wanted to know, which was how it started and who patient zero essentially was in this instance. And so you end up finding that out, but yeah, it's not till the very end of the movie where it takes you back to the beginning and you find out.
Okay, so what score do you guys give it? George, what score are you giving this movie?
I'd give it a 7 out of 10.
Shannon, what is your score?
3 out of 10. Should have been documentary. Ooh, boring.
Okay, so 3 out of 10 from Shannon, 7 out of 10, George. If I remember correctly, I would be between you guys, like 5 or 6, just because this movie was so forgettable when I saw it. But we're gonna move on now. I'll go first this time. We're gonna move on to a movie that I saw a long time ago, and this is the time where we do family recommendations. Honestly, you could see Banker with family, but I think like Banker would not be a movie that I would suggest like under 10 because I think those kids would be really bored to tears. But if they're like 11 or 12 or 13, I think they might like the history and the story and you could see it. There's nothing wrong in Banker that can cause you to feel like, oh, there's blood or something that's not family friendly. But this movie, just like we did last week, we did Spies in Disguise, which was very kidsy friendly. And I would go with this one. But this one, even though has the elements of something kids would really enjoy, like the animation is beautiful, the story is great, the music is like, I forgot how good the music is in this movie. Prince of Egypt in 1998. Now, we're talking 1998 when it came out in theaters. Shannon, I will go to you next. I promise. Don't worry. Even though this movie came out in 1998, some of you might have been born in 1998 and could be 20 years old or born after 1998 and never saw this movie. So I highly suggest, I still can't believe how old this movie is. I remember watching this when it was first released. Maybe I'm just old. I don't know. But this is a movie that has wonderful animation. Like the cinematography in this movie is next level. Like not even Disney movies are as good as how beautiful this movie is at times. Second thing is the music in this movie will like stay with you and it's might be better than some even Disney classic movies. The story is great. You don't have to be religious to enjoy the Prince of Egypt. You can even see it as a fantasy from the Bible, where it's not real. If that's your thing, I'm not judging you. But for someone like me who is religious, I really like the story of Exodus and the story of Moses on screen. There are some things that I definitely disagree with because I know why they did it, and I totally get it because Moses had to talk to the Pharaoh Ramses because they had that connection because they were brothers and they grew up together. But in the Bible, Aaron is the one who's kind of like in charge of kind of speaking to the people and talking a lot. Moses is kind of like the guy in the background in the Bible who just like carries this staff and basically Gandalf without doing any spells. He just puts the staff down like and lets God do his thing. But I understand why they took liberties in that because Moses needed to talk to Ramesses. Ramesses needed to talk to Moses because they grew up together. So that's just a little bit of like nitpicking if I had one. But yeah. Oh, also they showed a whale in the Red Sea, and I was like really mad about that because I'm like a whale cannot be in the Red Sea. It's not the ocean. It's a sea. It doesn't have. There's no whales in the Red Sea. So another nitpick that it's not that big of a deal, honestly. I know why they did it because it looks pretty when you saw the whale in the water when they're walking. But other than that, I thought the story was great. I loved how they're actually all brown Middle Eastern people in the animation, yet they're played by British people. I thought that was actually, except for Jeff Goldblum, who plays Aaron, and Jeff Goldblum in real life is Jewish, so I don't have nothing against Jeff Goldblum. I'll never have anything against Jeff Goldblum. Jeff Goldblum is a national treasure and should be protected at all costs because I love Jeff Goldblum. In fact, if you're watching this right now, go to your Disney Plus app and watch him talk about shoes. And he has this little documentary about like things that people make, like cake and shoes and random things, and it's wonderful. It's 30 minutes of Jeff Goldblum just talking about the history of products, and it's amazing. So I love that he was cast as Aaron. Of course, you got Ramesses' father, played by the great, Patrick Stewart, who plays Jean-Luc Picard in Star Trek: The Next Generation, and plays Professor Xavier in X-Men movies. And he's so good in this, and I think he's just wonderful. So even though I have a problem that they didn't get real Middle Eastern people, it is a 90s movie, and the fact that they didn't make them white is a big win for me. And they all look brown is like thumbs up. Good job, DreamWorks. You nailed it. They all look Middle Eastern. They all look brown. They all look like they're from Egypt. So yeah, Prince of Egypt, 10 out of 10. One of the greatest animated movies ever made. If you haven't watched it, turn this off. This is my review, and then I'll jump it over to Shannon. Go see it now. Go see it right now. In fact, skip the banker, skip everything else we just talked about, and just go see Prince of Egypt with your family because it's that great if you haven't seen it. Shannon, what are your thoughts?
Absolutely, 100%. If you haven't seen it, I don't know why you're watching us. Go watch Prince of Egypt. This is the best animated movie that ever was and ever will be. You cannot top it. It's gorgeous. It looks like it was animated today. It's got stunning water and pyramids and sculptures, and character design is perfect. And there is nothing bad that I could possibly say about this movie. I did grow up with this one. It came out in 1998. I was 8 years old. I remember I was at a summer art camp, and they had a CD with Prince of Egypt music, and all of our like crafts and our art and our like our little dances and stuff that we did was all to Prince of Egypt music because that was what was popular at the time. Even though the movie didn't make as much money as DreamWorks, wanted it to, man, this was just an incredible movie. In fact, there's a lot of history that goes into this. I could talk about Prince of Egypt for hours, but I'll try to get to George soon here. But there's a lot of history because the three people that made this movie and headed it up left Disney to make this movie specifically. All three of them were pitching this movie to Disney, and Disney was saying, no, we don't do religious films. We don't do anything that could be controversial. We don't do blah, 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 blah. We just want to make silly princess movies. And these three people, which this is a whole history lesson that we could get into at a later date, left the company and they said, nope, we're going to start our own company. They called it DreamWorks. They even got Steve Jobs got involved with this. They all came together and they made their passion project. So this is not a studio like pushing an idea like you have to hit these lines and these demographics. This is the opposite of that. This is a passion project. This is the movie that they wanted to make, and they made it right the way that they wanted to make it. They put their heart and soul into it, and you can tell when you watch this on screen. I had a phase with this movie about 5 or 6 years ago where I would watch this thing on a loop like 4 or 5 times a day. When I get into something, I really get into something. And I had parties. Fahad came to one of them. I was throwing parties at my house. We had a big screen projector. I was making all my friends watch this movie with me. I could not get enough of it, and I still can't. This is just a really fantastic film. The music, every beat is perfect. Every song is exactly what you want it to be. The story is deep and it's powerful and it's respectful of the source material. Now it does change a few minor things. Some of those things that are in the Bible, you know, they work perfectly fine as an oral tradition and they work really well written down on paper. But as a film with a visual medium, tweaking it really helped to tell the story without changing any of the morals, without changing the grand scheme of things, without changing the point. So they did a really good job there. The person who made this wanted to make the 10 Commandments, which is a boring movie, for like 10 Commandments, but animated, and just completely improved on every aspect. They actually went to Egypt to study Egypt before they made this movie. See, I told you guys I could talk about this movie all day long. I'm summarizing everything I know about it. But if you haven't seen it, go see it. Go watch it right now. I don't know what you're doing watching us. Go watch that movie and then come back and watch our review of it. George, what are your thoughts?
I have to say, I think I saw this movie, I think it was about 3 years ago, was when I first saw it. And I would have to say it was light keeps turning off. I'd have to say it was absolutely fantastic. And it is definitely one of the best 2D animated movies out there altogether. Because really they do put absolutely everything into it. They put so much detail into everything that it's like you can really see how much work went into that movie. It's absolutely phenomenal. And I have to actually say that with the what is that called, like the way they wrote the story with it and the artistic liberties that they took with it, actually I think made it a whole lot better than if they just tried to do
Oh yeah.
like a straight from the Bible, because it's way cooler. I'd have to say it's way cooler than if it was taken straight from the Bible. So it really was an absolutely phenomenal movie. And yes, if you haven't seen it, you gotta see it. It's amazing.
It'll make you laugh. It'll make you cry. The basket scene with the mom always gets to me. Fahad said the painting the blood over the door scene got to him. So man, it's just great. I remember a couple of years ago when I was in my Prince of Egypt phase, I was at my friend's house and I was like, "You're gonna love this movie," and she goes, "No, I don't like animated films." And I said, "No, this one is different. Do me a favor, watch the intro, just the first 2 or 3 minutes, just one song. And if you're not happy, you don't like it, we'll turn it off." And she was like, "Okay, but I don't really like animated stuff." We watched the first song, the Deliver Us sequence, and she was blown away. And she said, this is incredible. I guess I was wrong. I guess I want to watch it. Like this is a really, really good way to open a movie. It's got one of the best like first songs and hooks that I've ever seen. Like blew me away. It'll blow you away every time you watch it. You'll never get sick of it. Yeah, just go watch it. There's not much more to say. Just go watch it.
Yeah, the only thing I would add is if you watched one of those corny Christian movies, like I don't know, the ones Shannon mentioned. This is not like one of those corny Christian movies, and it takes a story that's as she said, like is good for Islam and Judaism and Christian. And honestly, it's just a great movie. If you're not a religious person or atheist, agnostic, Hindu, whatever, just enjoy the story of the fantasy elements of this movie, and it's really good. I did that. I forgot that I teared up at that because yeah, just watching like how far the Pharaoh goes into not giving Moses permission to leave with his people. He had to let kids basically died, and his own son died because he was so stubborn. And it's like you could have prevented all of this, the plague, the killings, the famine and all of that stuff, if you had just let Moses like leave. And it's a great story of even if you don't believe in God, I think it's just a story of like how slavery is wrong, and forcing people to be slaves and do your dirty work to build your monument or whatever it is, like the Egyptian pyramids and all the other stuff in Egypt. It's not okay, and they should be allowed to. People shouldn't have to be slaves and work like that. And um, yeah, the message is powerful. I think they did do two other movies, the same writers and directors, and I did want to mention that one did go straight to home video. Joseph and I just looked it up. Joseph and
The
the
Code of Dreams. Joseph and the Code
yeah,
of Dreams, I believe.
no, Joseph, King of Dreams, King of Dreams.
King of Dreams, which
Yeah,
isn't bad, but it's not nearly as good.
yeah, and that's also available on Netflix. So if you have Netflix, definitely check it out. And they did another movie, the same writers and producers, called Road to El Dorado. If you're looking for another movie that is as
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. That is one of my favorite animated movies of all time as well. Oh yeah, that's top.
yeah, so check out Joseph and the Dreams. It's a good story. It's not as high budgeted because it went straight to home video, but I think it's a good movie. And of course, as George said, the big budget they did, like theatrical release, was of course The Road to El Dorado, which is just one of the most beautiful movies, just like Prince of Egypt. Maybe we'll do a review for Road to El Dorado. I don't know. I feel like we need to come up with some more animated options for families to watch, where kids today might have been either haven't been born yet, or um, they were too young at the time to really see it. So maybe it's time to discover some of these movies. And yeah, I just think it's great. We're gonna try to do another review next week, but our goal is Netflix has given us permission. Netflix is not giving us permission. Netflix is doing where you can do friends can watch Netflix together, and they can watch it together like we are right now talking. Maybe we can do a commentary on a movie. Maybe we'll do Joseph and the King of Dreams, or some other movie that really want to see on Netflix, and just do a commentary. We'll try to put it up on Twitch. I know YouTube has certain rules, so what I'll do is have Shannon set up the Twitch for us, and what we'll do is have a Twitch channel for Geekdom Movies. We did want to expand, so now's better than ever to expand onto more diversified reviews and movie stuff and commentaries and all kinds of stuff. So look out for that. We'll keep you guys posted. And yeah, I'm just gonna throw it over to Shannon and what she has to share with us.
So on that note, we are continuing to do our reviews from home until this COVID-19 thing is over. We obviously, a lot of the movies are not coming out of theaters now. So continue to send us your suggestions. All three of the movies we reviewed today were your suggestions. We are planning next week, as long as you guys are on board with this, to review the Netflix series about Tiger King. George and I have not watched it yet. Fahad just started. It's huge all over the internet.
My bad. It's not a movie. It's like a whole episode.
It's a series, yeah.
So we can't really do that. That would be just way too long. But I do want to, I'm sorry, I should have said this before we started recording, but we do want to pick a movie that's 2 hours or less that we can do from beginning, middle, and end without feeling like, we left something out or we've been recording for too long. If that's okay, Shannon.
Well, okay, maybe we can reconvene on Tiger King. If we get a lot of comments for it, we can figure something out. Maybe we can just review the first episode or something like that. So shoot us comments down below and let us know what it is that you would like to hear us talk about. We definitely pay attention. We read those comments. We respond to you guys. We appreciate that. Also, you can go to our Patreon page. You can drop us a couple of bucks. I know things are tight right now. Don't do it if you can't, but if you can, that would be most excellent. Even if it's just, $1 or $2 a month, that would be fantastic. Do you guys have anything else for us today?
Yeah, I was just gonna say we should definitely look for we got a lot of emails saying, hey, this virus is actually getting really serious to the point where it's not a joke anymore. A lot of people just thought it'd be funny, and we did too. We didn't really think it was gonna go as crazy as it has been. It's really sad how many people are infected and how much room hospitals are running out of, or they're turning away patients, and they're like, maybe don't do any more movies about a virus or something depressing, and make it more positive. So I did come up with some movies for us to watch. One that you guys requested that I got a lot of emails on geekdommovies@gmail.com. Shannon George, I forgot the movie's name. There's a movie that won Best Picture, and it's kind of like World War II but happy, like about this dad who's trying to keep his kids happy during like the Nazi camp. Do you know what I'm talking about? A beautiful.
I think it's called that's not a happy movie. That's one of the saddest movies of all time. It's called A Beautiful Life.
Well,
I'm up for watching it though. I'm up for reviewing it, definitely.
yeah, it's supposed to be like a cartoony character about this guy who's trying to keep his kids happy during like a very serious thing. It's not very dark. It's very positive. I've heard they've said you can show it to kids and the kids will appreciate it and like it. So I don't know. I personally haven't seen this movie. So I'm just going off by what people have suggested. So I don't know. George, do you have anything to say on that?
I would love to review The Road to El Dorado, but that's just me. That's just because I'm obsessed with that movie.
I'm down. Yeah, I'm down to review Road to El Dorado. I haven't seen that one in years, but it's got great animation. It's beautifully done. I think we should definitely do that one.
Okay, so for our next movie, we will do animated film, The Road to El Dorado, and we'll try to figure out if we can do the one that you guys email. We'll probably do it. You guys said you wanted us to see it, so I guess we can watch it. I haven't seen it. I don't know. I know it's a dark subject matter, but you guys are saying it's a history lesson, kind of like The Banker, but more happier, and doesn't keep you depressed like Contagion would. So we'll let you know if we agree with you guys or not, and those will be our 2 next movies. I do want to see what else is coming out on streaming. If there is a movie that is coming out on streaming in the next few days or in the next week, we will make that a priority. I know Trolls 2 is coming out April 12th, and we will review that for our channel when it gets released. And yeah, that's it for now. Look out for our updates on anything that's going on with our Twitch channel that we'll update you guys on. We'll post on Facebook, we'll post on our website, and we'll keep you guys up to date on that. Send us more lists that you want us to watch, movies that you want us to check out. Prince of Egypt was a great suggestion. Contagion, it sounds like not. George is glad he saw it, but Shannon's not, and I'm in the middle. So I feel like we wanted us to review it, and we reviewed it. Yeah, and so we'll keep you guys posted. Take care, everyone. Thank you for joining us on our second quarantine episode of Geekdom Movies. Take care. Bye.